Or at least one of them did.
Okay.
That's what we were talking about.
It's 5:30. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Our first item is our Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Vice Chair, could you read our mission statement?
The mission of the Marshall Public School District is to educate, support, and prepare all learners for success.
Thank you. Approval of the agenda. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
I'll second.
Any additions? Hearing none, please vote. The agenda is approved. Public forum. This is the time that the public can comment. You approach the board, please list your name. And just for time's sake, if you could have, if it's for the same general topic, if we could have one spokesperson out of the group and not have the same thing repeated over and over again, would be kind to us. Also, we'll allow you 3-4 minutes to talk, but
I don't think I need a microphone, but there it is. Thank you for the opportunity. Friends for a long, long time with many.
tell everybody who you are now.
Okay. I'm Vincent Laporte. I'm a family physician. I've been working here since 1976. Worked for ACMC for 35 years. Worked for this company as a family medicine teacher at University of Minnesota for 12 years. Just retired from that job a month ago. I have a big interest in infectious disease. I've seen a lot of it in those years. Outbreaks, sometimes illnesses that you younger folks never even heard of or never saw, fortunately. I'm here to make a pitch for the safety of this new Delta variant. It's a whole new game. We're starting over, unfortunately. I'm recommending, in a nutshell, that we do social distance and masking initially, and after 8 weeks or 12 weeks, if everything is quiet, take it off. Not the other way around. Wait till it warms up and gets hot and somebody gets burned. A little background. I say new game. This Delta variant is not the Alpha variant that came a year ago. It's faster. It's probably slightly more deadly, but it's much more infectious. The Alpha variant would spread from one person to two. So one person infected two. The Delta variant is 1 to 6. So you can see the math. It's exponential. 40% or more of our adult population in this county is not vaccinated. Nobody under 12 is vaccinated. Those vaccines will come in December, but we don't have them now. So spring will be a good part of the school year. We can vaccinate children down to 6 months, I predict, by December, and we will. Masks do help, any kind of a mask. If you want to throw away your Clorox and stop scrubbing surfaces, I'm fine with that, but put your mask on. Masking is the answer. Little plastic shields are a joke compared to a mask. Mask is the winner by far. Vaccines are the most powerful tool we have, and they're safe and effective. I attended 12 vaccine clinics this spring here in Marshall. That represents about 5,000 people. We had exactly 4 reactions. 3 of them were solved with a glass of water in a little time. One of them was a real reaction which treated, recovered in 5 minutes. So this vaccine is safe. There's no doubt about that. You're not selling vaccines here. It would be a decent idea to think about your fall flu shot clinic. You do it in the building. Why not offer COVID shots in the other arm at the same time? That would be a good choice. I have lots to say. My 3 minutes are going to be up, or maybe they're already up. My colleague, Tim Mock, who basically runs urgent care and knows COVID inside out, we offer to come and give you a presentation for 30 to 60 minutes in detail about what's coming, because it's an avalanche coming. It's hard to pick out. The CDC website is good, kind of hard to read if you're not technical. Minnesota Health Department website is good, again, hard to read if you're not technical. We have been there many, many times. We live there. And we can take it apart, unpack it, and answer your questions directly. I've talked to somebody individually, hopefully answered the questions that you have. Everybody should have questions about this. Everybody should. We can deal with those. Knowledge does help. I know you can't have private meetings. This is a public organization. We're open to having an audience, but we'd like to focus on the board's questions and direct our information to the board and the questions from the board. We don't mind having an audience. So that's available to you whenever you want. Just notify myself or Dr. Mock, and we can arrange that. I can take questions now if that's...
Question on the booster, Vince. We're hearing that that possibly will be available soon, just for a certain group.
Now, kidney transplant patients, cancer survivors, people who take hydrocortisone, and about 5 other chemotherapy drugs. So they're doing that now. Will they give boosters to people over 65 like me? Yeah, that's coming. Before December, we're going to see boosters for anybody that wants. And boosters are going to be annual, like fall flu shots. It's going to be fall COVID shots for several years. So it's going to be pretty normative coming down the road. But yeah, boosters are here.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Vince.
Thanks, Vince.
Is there anybody else like to approach the board? Thank you. Vince,
Thank you for this
you've aged a
information
little
as
bit
well.
since
We
you
will
dated
read it
my,
over.
you brought Melissa into the, you remember Melissa?
Sure, like
Oh.
it was yesterday.
Yeah, I know it was. Seems like it, don't it? Now she's 41, so. All right. Moving on to our presentation, our Director of Teaching and Learning Curriculum Overview. Welcome, Mrs. Ritter.
Thinking. There we go. Perfect. Are we good? I think we are. Super. Thanks for having me tonight. I wanted just to come and give you a brief update where we are in regards to our curriculum cycle as we start our new school year. So, maybe. Oh, there we go. Got it. All right, so Marshall Public Schools is on a 6-year curriculum cycle. Each year, there are different stages, I should say, and different tasks depending on the year in which the subject matter is in. So for example, this year, you can see I have it highlighted, our 21-22 school year. Those starting their new curriculum cycle is world languages, art, and music. And I'll go through here in a second kind of what they do in each of the years. But many years ago, this was developed, I think, by Amanda Granager, and she decided on how we could best split this out to make sure we stay financially responsible as well. So we've split out our big areas such as math, science, language arts. There are big areas where there's lots of curriculum and resources purchased. Had those in separate years, and then you can see we've combined some of the smaller ones in the other years. So when we think about the process, the year one is really where we kind of start, and it's a continuous process. But year one is where we look. Let's look at our standards. Let's look at the resources we have. What are we doing? And a lot of this work is done in their PLCs. Sometimes we have extra meetings, but the majority of the work is done in their PLC time. They review those essential outcomes. They look for areas of improvement. Where are we doing well? We may begin piloting some materials. It just kind of depends where the team is at, and all teams are different depending on the grade level as well. Year two then is really the big year. This past year, math was in year two, and I'll share with you what they chose to purchase. But year two is a big big pilot year, because at the end of year two, they report back to me, here's our hopes, our dreams, here's what we really want to purchase. And then we look, okay, do we have the funds for it? What do we need to do to make it happen? Then starting in year three then is where they implement those materials. So math will start implementing their new materials and resources now this school year. And then it continues to go from there. They monitor and adjust, they evaluate, and then again, it comes back after 6 years. So every 6 years, they're able to purchase, we make a big curriculum purchase. So like I mentioned, math this year is in year three. It made it kind of tricky last year with everything COVID and how are we going to pilot materials, what are we going to do? But we did it, we made it through the year. It's exciting for our elementary, kindergarten through 4th grade. This is the first year in many years that we will have consistent curriculum K-4. And what they decided to go with is the McGraw-Hill My Math. Third and fourth grade teachers have used it for quite a few years now, have really liked the curriculum, liked how it met the needs of their students. So then in first and second grade, as well as kindergarten, we had teachers pilot it this year, really liked it as well. So they decided as a K-4 team to go ahead, and we made the purchase for the McGraw-Hill My Math, which is exciting, and they're actually having training tomorrow on it. So they will implement all of their materials. Third and fourth are feeling pretty good. They've used this before. It's an updated curriculum from, of course, what they have. And then K through 2, it'll be newer for them, but exciting because we will have consistency K-4 for math. At the middle school level, they felt that their curriculum that they have, their box curriculum, is working for them. They didn't necessarily need to make a purchase in that regard. They decided to go more on the resources side. What can we use to supplement and support our curriculum that we have and that they've developed? So 5th through 7th grade, they piloted IXL Math, really liked it. So they have decided to use that in conjunction with what they do in their classroom. The nice thing about IXL Math is that they can customize it for students. Students can take a placement test, a benchmark assessment. They can do it throughout the year. And the teachers can assign certain skills or things that they want the students to work on. And IXL is really gamified, I would say. So the kids love it. They can get coins to purchase things on the program. So kids really like it as well. And then it gives teachers recommendations too. Here are, the teacher can print a report. Here's where the students are low and X, Y, and Z, and then teachers can help. 8th grade has used Delta Math. It's another program online. It's a web-based program. They've really had a lot of success with it. And you can see up there, it allows teachers to mix and match problems. Students received an explanation that's grade appropriate. We also use this for some of our lower level classes at the high school, which you'll see. So Delta Math, they found that very beneficial, so they're continuing that in 8th grade. For the high school, for Algebra 1, Algebra 2, and Geometry, they are switching things up. This is a brand new curriculum for them. They piloted a couple different things this past year and then decided and landed on Envision Math. They have you can see each of them there, the Geometry, Algebra 1, and Algebra 2. So they use it for 1A and 1B, all of those algebra classes within there. This is a Savvis Learning, and Savvis used to be Pearson, so some of you might be familiar with Pearson. But Savvis Learning product, the nice thing is they have a really robust online component, which I know our teachers were really excited about, so they will use that in conjunction with the actual textbook, which is exciting. Our Algebra 3 teachers decided on Pearson Blitzer Algebra. This is actually a higher ed text, so a text that you often will see in colleges. Pearson is now higher ed, so that's the split between Savvis and Pearson. It's one they've used before. It's an updated version, so they are excited to continue with that for our Algebra 3 kids. And then our other math classes that we offer at the high school, they are sticking with what they've done. They've felt that it's working well. It's meeting the needs of their students, so you can see the different classes, the computer science, pre-calc, math concepts. You can see there's the Delta Math in there, as well as AP statistics and calculus. This is just one of the program or curriculum that they use. Of course, they supplement as needed to make sure their standards are being met. So full implementation this year for math. Then year 2 this year is science. This is a big year for our science department, K-12. Science standards changed, or they are changing. They're the 2019 standards. They were supposed to start being slowly implemented this year with complete implementation in the 23-24 school year, but because of COVID, MDE pushed it back a year. Our science teachers were very excited about that. It gives them another year to research, really learn those science standards. Especially at the middle school, even the high school level, a lot of the standards are switching in the grades and the content that they're teaching, so it's a big switch for a lot of our teachers. So they were excited. They can spend this year, again, really looking at those standards, digging into them, and finding the resources that they're going to need to be able to teach these brand new standards. So starting next school year, we will start implementing the new standards. It's a slow rollout process to make sure our kids don't miss any of the important content before they take that big science MCA. So it will be completely implemented in the 24-25 school year. So for us, we got kind of lucky. We did with how our curriculum cycle happened to land with new standards and new curriculum. So excited about that, but we've got a big year ahead in science. And then we will, of course, order at the end of this school year for next year. So then our year one people, they're starting the curriculum cycle will be Spanish, music, and art. I'll meet with their teams throughout the year. Well, what are they currently using? Do they find that it's meeting the needs? We'll review their essential outcomes, look at their standards, where are opportunities for improvement, what are our strengths, what are we doing well in? Because we are doing well in a lot of areas already. And then we'll start to examine new materials. If they feel like they're ready to pilot, we can certainly start piloting materials. The big pilot year is year 2. So this is really kind of the investigation year. What are they going to do? So with those 3 departments. So it'll be exciting for those departments this year. And that is our curriculum review in a really quick nutshell. Does anybody have any questions?
Beth, years ago when we started our one-to-one initiative, there was always talk that we wouldn't have to buy as many textbooks. Are we still buying as many textbooks as we
No.
used to, or?
No, that is very true, especially at the high school level. We went round and round, how many textbooks do we need? And we ended up doing just a class set per teacher. So they're in the class, but they tell me that they use their online version more. But some students do like and need that actual textbook that they can hold. So we did not order very many. I think it was 90, which in the grand scheme of things, it's not very many textbooks, with how many kids go through it.
Right, so we're still buying the textbook, just the online version of it.
Yes,
Right.
correct.
I mean, I'm sure
Yeah.
McGraw Hill is still getting their money.
Oh, they are. Yeah. But that being one-to-one is huge, so our kids can access that online. And they can access it at home and don't have to carry that big book home, which is nice.
Great.
Yeah.
Any other questions, board members?
Well organized. Thank you, Beth.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Beth.
Moving on to our consent agenda, motion to approve it. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Please vote.
Where you want me? Got it. Thank you.
There we go.
Got to have it both sides.
It is approved. Mine hasn't changed yet, though. There it goes. Moving on to our financials, motion to approve the financials. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
It's open for discussion.
Not much to report this month, July, August. We don't have a lot of expenditures coming through for general fund. Transportation expenditures were for the summer school transportation. Majority of the bills you'll see under capital outlay, which is our LTFM projects going on, and then obviously our building construction. We did have a couple of interest payments for our debt service funds also.
Very good. Any questions? Hearing none, please vote. It is approved. Anything else on financials? Nope. Okay. Board forum, board members, anybody have anything they'd like to bring up?
I would just like to, since I'm not going to be here Friday for the big grand opening, I would like to thank Sarah and Jeff and Bill for all their work on the, what'd you call it, the Board Oversight Committee, the BOC, or
Bond oversight.
the Bond Oversight
Yep,
Committee?
thank you.
Just I know there was a lot of meetings and a lot of decisions made on that committee, so thank you. And also thank Dion and Jeremy for their work on the building. It's going to be fabulous, so.
As somebody who will also be gone on Friday, I echo those sentiments. Thank you guys for your tireless work on that.
It shall be fun. Administrators report.
All right. I'll start with mine, and first update I want to share, just a little bit about COVID. Last year, we learned a lot about how we operate in a global pandemic, and we really were hoping that this year, when we come back to school, we'd be thinking about COVID as a thing in our past. And unfortunately, as our presentation earlier shared, COVID is still very much here. We talked about that at our last meeting too. We know that the virus and the protocols look different this fall, and we're still needing to address and respond to that this year. We recognize we have students, staff, and community members who see this from different perspectives. As a district, we're really working to find balance with that and meeting the requirements. We want everyone to be assured that we are taking concerns and the well-being of students and staff seriously. This fall, as we work to create as normal an experience for our kids as we're able, that's our goal. We're also needing to navigate this global pandemic. So we are committed and remain committed to following guidelines available to us from Public Health, MDH, MDE, and the CDC. This is no small task, and we know that guidelines change frequently. Mentioned before, we're continually monitoring those updates, making decisions we feel are best fit for our district, knowing that there are pieces we're going to need to address and refine as we go. We appreciate the support that we've seen from our families and our community as we go through that. So just wanted to share that as an intro. My other piece for mine is also related to the opening at Southview, the grand opening. Excited about that on Friday the 20th, starting at 12. We've got 3 hours set aside. We have a brief ceremony at the beginning at the main entrance of the school, and then we have a ribbon cutting. The giant scissors showed up this last week, so that was kind of fun. Dion laughed. He said it's a giant scissors and regular sized ribbon. So but that is ready to set up, and we're really looking forward to that. We also have the school will be open, and community tours available, encouraging our community to come by and visit the school at that event. There will be concessions available, games for the kids from the Southview PBIS team. The Historical Society has a display that they're going to bring in. We've got a couple of our retired teachers that have helped put that together, so they'll have some things talking about schools and the history of Marshall with that as well. So looking forward to that event on Friday. We have also laughed, saying as we planned something on a summer day, it's probably going to rain that day, but I guess we'll just accept the rain and move inside if need be. So, because we certainly know we need that too. Early childhood report. Tiffany shares that on Wednesday, September 1st, they are hosting an open house for early childhood at Parkside. That's from 5:30 until 7. Families will be able to come visit their child's classroom. They have some fun vehicles lined up to be there for the kids to kind of touch on and explore that sort of thing as well. She also shares this summer's been filled with a lot of projects. She called out Dion specifically, wanted to thank him for overseeing all the many projects and all the behind the scenes work that he's done with that this summer. She also calls out thanking her staff. It's a lot of work getting their boxes put together and unpacked in the new classrooms. It's exciting work, but it's been a lot of work this summer. So she called that out, and I wanted to share that this evening. Darcy shares in her Parkside report. Parkside has also been very busy this summer. Number of projects taking place there. The chillers and boilers have been replaced, and that system has been updated. So that was a well appreciated project. They've added some walls in the ILC Media Center, splitting that into some different usable space. Some concrete projects out front. Driving by right now, you'll see some of that taking place. The east side sidewalk was put in, and up in front that where the railroad ties, that's been replaced with concrete, so the better line of vision and such for the students. And the early childhood play area left from over here this last week and is now located over there. Southview, it's actually more of a west side piece there to start with. Pete just shared about the rummage sale. We had the garage sale, the rummage sale on the 21st of July from 12 until 6 at West Side, and we had a really good turnout. We got a lot of that stuff was distributed to the community, very well received with that. He specifically calls out a few people that were there that day working to make that go really smoothly. Calls out Jill, Carla Luther, Eileen Blumey, Nadine Weedman, Tom Blumey, Todd Schroeder, Randy Anderson, Trent Altide, Dan Van Overbeck, Rick Johnson, George Mercy, Warren Buckholtz, Esther, and Dion Karen. They all worked really hard that day. It was hot and it was a lot of work, but we got a lot of things moved and it was a good community piece. On August 9th, Pete shares that the staff was able to get into their classrooms and start unpacking and organizing at Southview. So that was really fun to see the teachers in those classrooms getting those put together and starting to look like they're ready for kids. In his board report, he has a couple photos of the school as well. In the middle school report, Paula, she shares a little introduction of herself and Corey, so I encourage you to look at that. Shares a little bit about the background. They've been busy just getting oriented and ready to go. They've got the staffing positions all filled. I know Brian's helped with some of that. Got that done. We're finishing the schedule at the middle school, and she attached a student handbook. They've gone through and made their updates to that, so we'll prove that later this evening as well. High school, Brian shares he has also filled all of their current teaching and paraprofessional positions that were open. Seeing a larger group, we had a lot of retirements this spring, so a lot of new hires over the summer for the high school specifically. He called out. Brian also shares that over the last 2 weeks he's been beginning to transition away from the middle school and back to the high school full time. He's been working with Paula and Corey in their transition seeing through completion of the hiring of the staff and the scheduling pieces for the teaching schedule and the student schedules. Maytech, Amanda Peterson shares getting ready for the new school year. They have their annual registration and picture day on September 7th. She also shares that on July 30th, the targeted services programming wrapped up for this year. We had 211 students in attendance in the first session and 157 in the second session. So very well received this summer with those. High school recovery program had 90 students completing coursework. So good turnout and good success for students there. A couple students graduated at the end of that through the coursework and the work experience program that were part of that. Bruce had a few things that I thought were interesting in his report I want to share tonight too. The M Club is the first one. They're still taking nominations for the club for the annual class that will be inducted into the Tiger Athletic Hall of Fame. The M Club has planned their induction ceremony for Saturday, October 2nd, so mark the date to mark. Also shares that one of the changes this last year with COVID was a need to move toward a contactless ticket sales for high school athletic contests, something that we hadn't had previously. So they're looking at some different options for contactless tickets through like an app on your phone kind of thing for getting into high school events, which will be more convenient for people to purchase and to distribute at events. He had a piece about high school appearing in state tournaments too that was, I thought, interesting. I want to share. Seeing a lot of teams achieve at high levels, accumulating the high school league state tournament appearances. In the 2021 school year, even though it was a very unusual year with a lot of changes with how state tournaments took place, fall didn't have state tournaments. Winter sports had some modified state tournaments. We had some individuals advance to state tournaments in wrestling and track and field, and the girls basketball team went to state championship in the winter. That was our 120th team in Marshall High School history to appear in the state tournament. Then later this spring, the Tiger baseball team became the 121st team in school history to make the state tournament. That was pretty exciting. Also of interest, of that 121 teams at state tournaments, almost half, so 59 of them, made appearances in the last 15 years. That really speaks to the quality of the coaches leading the programs and the dedication of student athletes. So I want to call that out and share that this evening. Special ed, Jackie shares, she's helps oversee our MTSS programming. And in June, our administration and teachers from each building attended a MTSS virtual conference. It stands for Multi-Tiered Systems of Supports. It's really an overarching umbrella that oversees a lot of the work we do as a school district. It's a system designed to identify where student learning is at and how to best support on either end of the spectrum. So looking at individual student data and students that need additional support or students that need enrichment. So our teams had, in that conference, opportunity to identify where strengths are in that structure in each of the buildings, as well as areas we can improve on. And MTSS really falls in line with work that works within our PLCs, looking at reviewing data, which will really help guide some of our work this year. We're talking about no new initiatives, but this will help us just review how we're doing some of the things we've been doing. In Beth's report, she calls out July 20th and 21st. We had a pretty cool event for some of our EL kids. Our high school EL teacher, Carrie Loft, took 5 students to the Tech and Trades Camp in Granite Falls. That 2-day event was active hands-on experience with students experiencing about 14 different career fields. So I got a lot of hands-on pieces with that. Beth also shares that we're in the planning phases of incorporating a CEO program in the high school. So it would start in the 22-23 school year. This program connects students with local businesses throughout the year, a lot of guest speakers, and it's fully funded through business partners. So our students attend class completely off campus and interacting with business leaders. In Mary Kay's report, the coordinator of special program, she shares that we have received funds again from the MDE Indian Education Program. The parent committee for that group will begin working in the coming months on developing annual plan and utilizing those funds. And she's also overseeing the crisis committee, number of areas working on there. One of the first projects with that for this summer is Southview, getting that plan aligned to work with the new building. In the coming months, looking at crisis plans with getting new staff trained with our ALICE program, identifying safe schools courses for all staff, and determining ALICE student training in each building. Brings me to Dion's report.
I just put some updates on our LTFM projects. The Parkside IEQ project is wrapping up. It's just one piece of the boiler that is still coming in. Probably don't think we need the boilers at this time of the year, but the boilers actually help to control the temperatures. So we're a little on the cooler side at Parkside right now, which is actually okay. But that project has gone very well, thanks to Bisbee's and Johnson Controls on that one. Darcy had laid out some of the other things at Parkside that have been done. Once the sidewalks are done at Parkside, they'll move over to the middle school for some of the sidewalks here, which will be done prior to school starting. The playground set, if you see that over there, we do still have some rubber tiles that we'll be putting underneath that, so we won't have cement under our playground set. And then starting next week, we'll start working on the middle school playground area. As we talked about, extending that fence out, adding a couple of tetherball poles, painting the lines for the basketball, four square lines. We have some cement work to do over there and adding some picnic tables for the kids to be able to use. Then for Southview, just a few updates on that as we head into our open house and about 3.5 weeks before school starts. We have our final inspection on Wednesday, which would give us occupancy, so more than just staff can come in. We actually need that before we can do the open house on Friday. So we are sitting well in that respect. There's just some final things getting done with some of the metal panels, some of the wood or the roof caps, some of the ductwork, insulation pipes. There's still some action going on around there. One of the situations that we've ran into is with the flooring, the MCT, the tile. It is not adhering to the cement. We have come up with a solution. We found actually a tile that we used at the middle school prior and glue that we did a couple of pull tests and they worked very well. So we will be switching over to a different tile there. Still will be down prior to school starting, but for the open house, won't be down. But you'll see a lot of other cool things that have been done since you've been there before. But otherwise, the project's going honestly very well. Just mainly just cleanup now.
Good deal. Moving on to our first review of policies 514, 517, 505, and 606. This will be the first reading of these policies. Did any board members have any questions on these? Very good. Moving on to our action items. The first action item is approval of the 2021-22 strategic plan goals. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Open for discussion.
Just want to share with this is our 5th year of our 5-year strategic plan. We have 2 remaining goals, so we had split the goals out over the course of the 5 years, and there are 2 that we haven't focused on yet, so those are the 2 that I'm proposing we work on for this year. We also have a few action steps remaining from some other goals that we'll look at this year, but this year we're looking at increasing career opportunities and exploring post-secondary education, specifically to the middle school, and that's what I'm asking to approve tonight.
Very good. Any questions? Hearing none, please vote. Is approved. Approval of the e-learning plan. Motion to approve.
I'll second.
Open.
E-learning day plan, I'll just share, the state guidelines have not changed with e-learning days. Last year, we really didn't have them because we were in such a variety of learning models. But so a plan looks similar to the previous year. This is for days of inclement weather, when we can't come into school because of something weather related. Just a couple of things that specifically I want to call out we've changed here, looking at some clarification for duties with some of our non-certified staff. We learned a lot last year on how we can provide virtual instruction, so what that might look like. Also allowing in this plan for some flexibility with e-learning day plans for non-instructional snow days if it's a day that just isn't feasible to do a virtual instructional day either, that could be part of it. And we'll have some additional supporting documentation will go out to staff that we've been working on with resources and preparing for those days to help best meet the needs of our students. This plan was reviewed and prepared with the admin team over our summer retreat and then with a staff team that had representatives from each building. The reason we're talking about snow days in August is we need to announce to our community that we're doing this prior to the start of the school year.
Every year it gets better.
Yep.
Any questions?
We're not going to have any snow this year.
It hasn't rained all summer, so why would it snow in the winter?
Go ahead and vote, please. It is approved. The next action item is approval to change September 20th meeting start time. This would be so we could do our tours of the building. Motion to approve.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Sure, we'd start at 4 o'clock that day. We'd do our tours and come back here for our regular business meeting following.
Sounds good. Call for a vote, please. Is approved. Resolution authorizing real estate sale to MAAC Incorporated. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
I'll second. It's open for discussion.
This is just a resolution to authorize the sale to MAAC. Board had approved the West Side purchase agreement. This is just a resolution to finalize that. And I just wanted to point out too, because I think there's been some rumors throughout the community that West Side, once it changes hands, will be sold to some other entity. And right in the agreement, it states that the buyer needs to remove demolition of the elementary school, remove and dispose of the debris no later than December 31st. And in order for any money to be exchanged, that has to be done by that date, unless agreed upon by the seller and the buyer. So plan is for him to demolish and I believe to create some real estate property opportunities.
Any other comments? Go ahead and vote, please. Is approved. Approval of the middle school handbook. Motion to approve. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
And any discussion?
The updated middle school handbook for the school year.
Go ahead and vote, please. It passes. And adjournment. Thank you, board members. Thank you, audience.